Welcome to another episode of this series about historical photographs colorization. I hope you enjoy what I have prepared for you today. Las Vegas, Nevada is a well-known wedding destination for couples who are eager to elope. But the state is also a popular place for ending a marriage too. Many people aren't aware of the existence of divorce ranches. For years, many states banned divorce. Even in progressive states like New York, the only way to get a divorce was to prove adultery, and that wasn't changed until the 1960s. But Nevada was very lenient when it came to granting a divorce, and you needed just 6 weeks to be considered a resident. So married couples would go to a divorce ranch on vacation and come back single people. These ranches were like resorts where you could live like ranch hands, but also enjoy time by a lake or poolside. Everyone was called a dude, and wore outfits that made them ready to work on the ranch. Our next photo has become rather famous, because I've seen it circulating around the internet a number of times in the past. All we really know about the woman in the photograph is that she lived in Paris in 1915, and that she enjoyed relaxing with her cat in her cannabis garden. The photo is so engaging that a group of writers over at Messy Nessie Chic used it as a writing prompt for fictional stories. France banned cannabis in 1953, and it is now illegal to grow in their country. But at the time this photo was taken, what this woman was doing was perfectly legal. This photograph was originally published in the Brooklyn Daily Eagle in March of 1942. These girls were students at Abraham Lincoln High School on Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn, New York. This all started because one student, Beverly Bernstein, was suspended from school when she showed up wearing slacks, and it was considered inappropriate for girls. The girls responded with a protest by having every single girl show up to school wearing pants. Remember that this was during World War II. So the girls got together to sign a petition, saying that this was a safety issue, since pants make it easier to run away during an air raid. It also helped the war effort by preventing the need to wear silk stockings. Most of the boys signed the petition, too. The next day, the principal said that girls could wear pants to school. This photo from the Way We Were subreddit is both fascinating and infuriating, especially if you're one of the millions of people who are shackled with student loan debt. The original poster scanned a receipt from his father's tuition bill back in 1970. He took 3 courses, which is the average amount per semester of college. Those 3 classes were just $36. After modern-day inflation, that's still only $250 today. With prices like that, your average college kid could pay for his own tuition out of pocket by having a part-time job outside of school. It's easy to see how college was once possible to accomplish and be debt-free. Now, in 2022, the average federal student loan debt was $37,358. Today, that $250 may not even be enough for one semester of textbooks, let alone tuition and fees. Known as the King of Horror, Stephen King is one of the wealthiest authors in the world with a net worth of $500 million. From 1973 to 1981, Wang Laboratories was a company that produced computers, fax machines, and word processors. The brand was very short-lived, and ultimately couldn't keep up with the likes of Apple. At $12,000, you had to be as successful as Stephen King to afford a Wang word processor to begin with. This image was published in a 1982 issue of Life magazine. At the time, many people were still using typewriters, because computers were too expensive for the average person. It wasn't until the 1990s when personal computers would become more affordable, and programs like Microsoft Word made word processing machines obsolete. In the 2010s, there was a huge tiny house movement that spread throughout the world as people began to downsize their homes after the Great Recession of 2008. At the same time, there was an uptick of people getting into van life, which is the process of converting a van into a tiny home on wheels. But this photo from 1926 proves that people had this idea long before the current tiny house movement. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of information on the photo. I would love to see the inside of this mobile home. But we are left with the exterior, showing a cute little house built around a car. It's funny how something that once seemed like modern luxury is now old-fashioned and dated in so many ways. As a kid in the 1990s, I would have loved to see these coin-operated TVs at a bus station. When you're waiting for your bus to arrive, there is not much you could do back then besides read a book, newspaper, or magazine. But nowadays, almost everyone owns a smartphone or an iPad, so you can watch media for free on your personal devices. Smoking indoors didn't become illegal in all enclosed spaces until 2011. So it's still a fairly new law, but it makes these indoor ashtrays obsolete. This photo by Felix Thielier is absolutely beautiful. So beautiful, in fact, that a lot of people like to hang it on the wall in their home. It captures movement so perfectly. And with the snow surrounding the woman and the horse, it almost feels like a magical place to be. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of information about this photo available online. I wish we knew the story behind this stunning picture, but it may actually be a good picture to use for writing prompts, if you're the creative type. On Reddit, the title of this photo says, "Only some of us were lucky enough to get a Cabbage Patch Kid during the craze in 1983-84. In 1983, Cabbage Patch dolls were so scarce that it caused literal riots to break out in stores as parents frantically tried to buy them. During Christmas time, some parents even drove hundreds of miles to get their hands on one. At the time, Cabbage Patch dolls cost $21, which is closer to $62 after inflation. To make matters worse, people would resell the dolls for $50, which is more like $147 today. As time went on, the cost of the doll increased. After a quick check online, I saw that they go for around $40 to $60 each, depending on the style. The Berlin Wall became an iconic and tragic symbol of 20th century Germany. It's hard to find traces of the Berlin Wall, which divided the German capital a quarter century ago. Like most symbols during this time, the infamous barrier was dismantled. But not before wreaking sadness and tragedy amongst the residents of Berlin. On August 13, 1961, the communist government of the German Democratic Republic, GDR, or East Germany, began to build a barbed wire and concrete antifascistischer Schutzwall, or anti-fascist bulwark, between East and West Berlin,